It's better to not have it than to have it and lose it. Because when you have it, you live it, you know what it feels like. And when you lose it, the blow is hard, right?
Step into the world of success with Your Brand Amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. It is a true honor and privilege to have Kayvon Kay on the show. Beyond all of the things we've just been talking about with your business success, everything that you do to help others, your athleticism and history of that, and how that ties into some of the work that I do, I am trying to get where you are. You've been in the top 3 US Apple marketing podcasts for a very long time. I broke the top 10 finally in the past month. And, go back and forth a little bit, but I was like, oh, this is so cool. I've never interviewed anyone else who's been in this top,
I get it, right? Like this, we're trying to make our way up there, but it's great. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kayvon, thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to be here.
Well, before we get into Pitch Me, which is your podcast, I want to talk about your business story and your history of working in sales, working in different areas. And then when was that pivot point?
To when I went full entrepreneurship from basically sales.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's funny. My story, I think it's no different in the terms of typical entrepreneur salespeople, right? Written off by the school system, told that you're never going to make it. ADD, ADHD. I mean, they labeled me with like 5 different learning disabilities, all that, right? So I always said, like, from a young age, I was put into a position of sales, if we went really deeper in psychology, of protection to protect my little child, but also to defend, like, that I wasn't what they said I was, they being the school system and, society. And so it was always like, I always felt like I was always in a sale, like selling a different idea. I was fortunate enough to grow up with an uncle who was in sales. He was like, at the time, like in the 90s, your typical like sales guy. He was a manager, owner of a furniture store. So he would let me, I'd go on Saturdays when I was 11, 12 and hang out all day and just watch him. Like at that point, I didn't know what selling was, right? But I was watching him. The most important was connect. Like I was watching him just like connect with people and, be likable and charismatic, and people are always shaking his hand. It was kind of like a little bit of a superhero to me in a way. So I think that just naturally got developed in me, from a young age. And then by the time I was 18, 19, I didn't know anything but sales. It was kind of like, I wasn't going to be a doctor. They said I was too stupid to be that, and couldn't be a teacher because I was too stupid to do that. And there was so like, well, what, back then that we didn't really have online. So it was like, where do you go? So I kind of just got myself into a sales, sales gigs. And by the time I was 26, 27, I was actually the number 1 sales rep for the largest pharmaceutical company in the world at that time, number 1 in my country, and things were going great. And then I kind of just woke up one day and I was like, this is my life. Like this was supposed to be like the equivalent to the NHL and pharma sales, right? Like it's supposed to be the best thing ever, and it was the worst thing ever. And in fact, it was like I was back in school, like between the corporate politics, the structure, the bullshit. You can't say what you can't have ideas. If I push the envelope, I'd get in trouble. Like stupid little things I tell people. Like I just didn't get it. Like little things like we got company cars, right? But there was no branding on them. So I went out with my own money out of my own pocket, and I even just a little white emblem on the back of my window. So the reason I did that was when I was in the pharmacies, right? Parking major, like the parking lots, I wanted the other reps to know who was there first. And like little things like that, getting letters from lawyers saying, take that down, because reps on my own team were jealous or something. Like they didn't have the idea. So I was like, it was like, if this is what corporate is, I'm out. Like I can't do this. This is not who I am. So unlike like many, hopeful, wishful, beginner entrepreneurs, I'm like, I got the idea. I'm going online. I'm jumping in. Make money online. It's simple, right? Overnight success. And I jumped in, and long story short, about a year and a half later, not only was I out of a job making, well over, 200-300 company credit card, that whole thing, I was at $200,000 in debt. 7 days away from bankruptcy.
Oof.
It was rough. It was rough. And in that moment, again, you get two choices. Two choices is choice number one, go back to corporate, right? Or go find a sales job and then spend the next 10 years crawling yourself out of this debt because, it's just what it's going to be. Or is this that moment in entrepreneurial journey where you read it in the books, you read it in like Think and Grow Rich? Is this that moment where you're 2 feet from gold? Is this that moment where you burn your ships? So as I was standing in line in bankruptcy, that was going through my head. I'm like, I think this is the moment that you read in the book where they say there comes a moment where you're going to have to make the hardest decision, where most people give up. And that's why they never have the life they truly desire. And I was like, this sucks, but if this is it, don't do it. Don't wave the white flag. So I went home and got focused and, made multiple calls just from anyone in my network to see if someone can tell me what am I doing wrong. Obviously I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong. And I found a guy and he basically just said, I know what's up. I can help you. Pay me $30,000.
Yep.
What? Are you kidding me? I just told you I'm broke. I'm 7 days. Where do you think I have $30,000? He goes, if you want it bad enough, you'll figure it out. Well, you wasn't wrong. So I had to make, again, you ever heard a Colonel Sanders story? Like how many times did, everyone has a different number for it, whatever, right? But that was going through my head. So open up the book, started calling 27th person. Hey, listen, I have this is what's been going on. I have faith that this person's going to help me. It's $30,000. I'm looking for a loan. Like, are you able to do it? And the guy that I'll never forget it, he goes, Kayvon, I remember you from pharma. You always had something. I believe in you. No problem. Right? So the question here, we're talking this, and I tell this story because depending on the people listening, are you willing to even do that? Most people just say, no, it won't work. I can't. It's like, no, are you willing to actually make those calls and let your ego go and let the fear go and just know that there's no other hope? Like for me, I'd rather die trying than give up and live a life where I'm numb, succeeding. If you would call it succeeding, it's not really succeeding to me. Right? Like I always say, I don't want to be average. And what does that mean? And I'm trying to be a better person with my words these days, but I don't want to be average. Are we allowed to swear? I don't want to be fucking average. What does that mean? I don't want to go and drive an average car, and I don't want to live in an average house, and I don't want to go to the restaurant and go, you know what? I'll take the average seat, the one that's over there in the middle with everybody. And then can you give me the average menu and go on the average trip? That's hell to me. And no offense to other people that live that life. I actually think it's amazing for ones. I wish I was like that. I really do. I wish sometimes I can just be happy with status quo. And people are and I see it and they're really happy. They don't want the hustle. They don't want to go through the mental agony and the pressure and the high blood pressure that I put myself through to get to the next level. That's fantastic. I think there's a place for that for everybody who's different. That's just not who I am. I would be miserable inside. And if I'm miserable inside, what's the point of living? What's the point of having a family if you're a miserable father and a miserable partner, right? So for me, it was just push. Needless to say, 18 months from that one call, 18 months, we built the company from 0 to 38 million in 18 months, teaching high ticket sales. I was training over 10,000 students in 101 different countries. Crazy.
Not average.
Then, all gone.
Oh.
All gone. Got screwed from the business partner. I don't want to go down that road. Bad decisions made throughout. And I woke up one day and everything gone. So back to the bottom again.
That gives me anxiety.
This is hard because they'll say this, the quote, and I never lived it, but I projected it. I said I never wanted to live it. Instead of saying I'm not going to live this, I said I never want to. And as a result, I did. And this is what the word is. It's better to not have it than to have it and lose it. Because when you have it, you live it, you know what it feels like. And when you lose it, the blow is hard, right? That blow was hard. I mean, you go from I finally made it, holy shit, to
here's the cure. Yeah.
To the beginning, below the beginning, right? Lower than a snake's belly. And now you're not just talking financially, you're emotionally, spiritually, everything, right? And I had to recreate. So what do we do? Again, get back in there, get back in the seat, pull up the pants and go again. And that's why I created the sales connection, and we built that back up. And since then, that's about 5-6 years ago, we've done over $375 million in sales for our clients. We've taken 200,000 plus book calls and worked with multiple 7, 8, even 9-figure brands. So it's been quite the journey, and going through it again. That's where Pitch Me and everything's coming. We're talking about that, going through another evolution where, we're moving on. So it's been a journey. I mean, there's a lot in between there, but that's the journey of my entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the reason why you don't want to be average is because you want to prove everybody wrong. All the people who said negative things about you when you were young, right?
Yeah. It really happened to doing a little psychology here. We party. The truth is, when I was younger, that's where the fire came from. I'm going to prove you all wrong. Now, as I get older, I'm not going to say my age, but, getting over the hill there. It's not about proving everybody wrong. It's about proving myself and my truth right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
That's kind of where I'm at. I don't really care about anybody, what they said. We're beyond that. I'm more like, how I want to prove that I know what is to be true of what I know my life can be. Right.
And that's so freeing. That's such a different perspective. And that's something I think a lot of us find after we've gone through trying to work for other people, realizing we really are better maybe suited for working for ourselves. We have to go through those trials, tribulations, the ups and the downs, and then get to that place of peace where we go, oh, I'm the one who's in charge of how I shape my life. Yeah. And I'm the one who has to do the work. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says or what they think is right or wrong. It's all about what I can do. As a business owner myself, I can tell you that finding the right people to hire is absolutely brutal. You post a job, get flooded with hundreds of resumes, but somehow still can't find anyone with the actual skills you need. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you fast. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/work. Here's what makes ZipRecruiter different. Their smart technology actually identifies the top talent for your specific roles super quickly. The moment you post your job, their matching system starts showing you qualified candidates immediately. Plus, you can reach out to your favorite candidates right away using their pre-written invite to apply messages. No more waiting around, hoping someone will notice your post. Ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/work. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're talking about taking self-ownership there and being self-aware and realizing one of my fundamentals teachings in sales is you are a direct, and I'll say this again, you are a direct reflection of the results you get, period. You do not like what's going on in your business. If you do not like what's going on with your marriage or your relationships, you don't like what's going on with your health, you don't like what's going on with your surroundings, you don't like what the way your relationship with your parents, whether your family, whatever it is, that is a direct reflection of you and you only, nobody else. That is it. Because when you realize that, you get to look within and realize, okay, what needs to change here, there, all that, and then you get to make better decisions. So let's give a good example of that for me, because I was so broken for so long, and broken meaning, not feeling good enough, being maybe fear of success, fear of failure, whatever it was. I was always trying to save people because I was hoping someone would save me. So my thought was, if I save people, they would save me. But all I was doing at that time was hiring broken people and expecting them to be A players. I was hiring people who were not emotionally aware.
Yep.
And then I was always the one having to be the lead, telling them what to do. And I learned this because when they would leave me or when I would have to let them go, they would leave always so sour. And again, after a couple of these situations, you got to go, okay, well, this isn't one person, 2, 3. Why when they leave? Yeah, people get upset, but why are they trying to come back and tear down the empire and not just leave with class, but leave in that way where it's just not a good way. I've had people steal clients, try to steal closers. I had one, the last one was my social media expert. I hired a third party to help us grow, and they gave us this thing that was growing. It blew my count up from 5,000 to 80,000 in 3 months. Thing was rocking. I noticed there was some energy going. I didn't know what it was. Found out She took everything that I paid for she was supposed to help on me and helped herself.
Wow.
And then left me hanging, and
Oh my gosh.
the first thing is you want to get angry, right? Like you want to be like, oh, what? But the second emotion was like, oh, wait a minute. That was because of me. So let's work backwards. Let's figure out why did that happen? And that's what I realized was like, I'm just trying to save these people. No more. No more. Can't do it. And that there's something liberating about that. There's something, again, with entrepreneurship, like when you can get through these hard times and you can learn, it is like they say, it makes you grow stronger, faster. The cool thing about it is it doesn't take as much time the next time around to get quicker to success, as long as you're not obviously repeating the same mistakes.
Yeah.
So they say fail forward. Holy, is that ever true? They say in entrepreneurship, you will fail more than you will succeed. Holy shit, is that ever true? Most people are not willing to do that. Some they really like. I know guys that like they failed maybe a little bit, but that's not like the norm. The norm is you will fail and fail and fail and fail and fail, and then one day it might work. Not 100% will. It might work. And are you willing to risk it all for that versus a pension and safety and this and that and da 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 da?
Yeah, and it's something. So I come from a family of educators and social workers and entrepreneurs, not all of those being the same person. And with the entrepreneurs, when I was younger, I would look at my uncles and go and see those repeating cycles, right? I'm going to try one thing, then I'm going to try another, and I'm going to try another. And I was like, wow, it just looks like a lot of failure, because I didn't understand yet that I was going to be an entrepreneur and that's what it looked like. You have to fail. You have to go through these hard times. You have to maybe overemploy people or try to treat them really well when maybe you need to be paying more attention to your bottom line or paying yourself, which is I've done.
Worry yourself. And I went wrong. Like, there's a book called Pay Yourself First, right? I didn't listen. I was paying everybody else. Just try, because, you're trying to you're also like, when you have employees, again, people understand, like, as an entrepreneur, like, they think you're just selfish. It's like, you're not, like, I go to bed, I don't have employees. I have they're not just employees, they're employees who have families and kids, and those kids and their families rely on me to do my job. So it's a lot of responsibility, right? So, but I think sometimes you gotta be, again, I say this is people try to be incredibly selfless, before they become selfish.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is you got to live a life sometime incredibly selfish today so you could be incredibly generous tomorrow.
100%.
You can't be generous with things you don't have. You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to, tighten it up and think about what's the best for the long run, even though, it might not be comfortable. It might not be what everybody else wants, right? At the risk of everyone's disapproval. Are you willing to do it?
And it is really hard for our family and friends to look at us who aren't entrepreneurs and understand what we're doing. I get this all the time of like, if you should only be doing things that make money immediately. And like, well, that sometimes I need to build relationships that I know are going to lead to something.
I'll put it this way. If I was looking for the validation of my mommy and daddy or the validation of my friends, I'd be broke. And I love my friends. Here's the reality. If you're looking for the validation of anybody around you, the only validation you should be looking for is the one within.
Yeah. We have so many things that we can uncover, but I know we have just a short amount of time today. I want to ask about your podcast. It's called Pitch Me. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, of course, that's part of your lead gen flow, probably for your business. And
it's a way it is a lead gen opportunity. But more importantly, if I'm being honest, it's also an opportunity for me to showcase my ability and what I've done over the last 20 years in sales. So the way the podcast kind of works is for any entrepreneur, any business owner, any salesperson, anybody that has a product that they're selling, we come on. I ask them a little bit about, who they are, what it's all about. But really, this is more about like the product or the service they're selling. I want to know what it is. I want to know who it's for. I want to know the deepest pain of the prospect that they're working with. And then at the end, I ask them, hey, give me your pitch, right? And depending on what they say, we tweak it and give them a little bit of value. And hopefully people can hear and see the like nuance and the differences, saying the right things at the right moment to the right people. And if someone asks you like, whoa, what is it you do, right? You know exactly what to say and how to handle that.
Yeah. We were talking also before we jumped on about the athletic mindset, because I work for the ICL Academy. We have a lot of high performing athletes, singers, actors, artists, many of whom have been in all the major sports events this year and will continue to be, and often are, for the boys and girls side, winners. So you have a background in sports and athletics. Talk about that mindset.
Most people don't understand and don't know this. I actually went for the Olympics this year for ski racing.
Oh,
At 4
wow.
years old, I went. Now I have a dual citizenship with a different country. So that country doesn't have many ski racers, right? So there was like that loophole. But my goal was just to qualify and just say, hey, I qualified for the Olympics at 40. I was going to write the book. It's never too late. Once I qualified, but unfortunately, I was a tenth of a second off from qualifying. So the new book's now you're only a tenth away. But yeah, so I know a little one or two things. I grew up ski racing, and then I played, university football and all that. So the one thing, I could tell you the thing that kept me alive actually in school when I was younger was sports. I think sports is one of the most, I think every child, regardless of the child, should be in sports, whether they want to be or not. I mean, music, all that, great. But sports teaches you something that life's going to do to you, right? And the resilience, the hard work, the teamwork, the putting it all on the line and losing and still having to show up the next day to practice on Monday, regardless of how you're feeling, like there's something there. There's the discipline there. And like I was saying, one of our core pillars at my company at the Sales Connection it's called the athlete DNA. Like you must have that athlete DNA. That means hard work, discipline, integrity, willing to go to the distance, putting it all on the line. If you're not willing to do that, not looking for not where I'm at, not my business, I'm not a business where I got 10,000 employees and 90% of them are, mundane and they just need them to do little tasks. Like, I want to work with winners. I'd rather be small working with a team of winners than big. And, A players want to hang out A players. So create an environment for A players to hang.
Nice. You have a system that you use to help scale businesses without that burnout factor that we're all familiar with. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I have a system to help certain businesses, again, coaches, consultants, more online businesses that are selling, 5, 10, 15, 20K offers. If they're around 80 to 100 grand a month and they want to get past that next level, we have a system. It's a long process, but we have a system and a process that allows us to come in, alleviates the owner so the owner can focus on the things that they really need to be focusing on.
Yep.
And we build, manage, and scale sales teams. So we'll come in and we'll run the entire sales department, build it from scratch, from the systems, the reporting, to the hiring, to the recruiting, to the management, the training, the coaching, and then even the bridge and the conversation from sales back up to marketing. And it's a big process we do, but it allows us to get, businesses from $100,000 months to $1 million months. Yeah. And I've done this now. I mean, we've been doing this for 6 years. Again, we've done over 100 plus different sales team build outs. We got our 10,000 hours, just say that.
And you also talk about this idea that it's about messaging that converts versus just having pretty polished images and things.
Well, here, you must be listening to some stuff here. It's interesting.
I might be.
You're bringing out some nuance conversation. So what we're talking is give perspective here is since 2015, I've been online and I've seen what we call the most ugliest, funnels. If your audience doesn't know what funnel is, called websites, right? Like marketing campaigns, you want to call like the ugliest, like things that you would be like, how does this even convert and make millions?
Wow.
And millions of dollars versus the most beautiful thing in the world and can't make a penny. And what it comes down to, it doesn't matter how great your idea is, it doesn't matter how great you think you are, how beautiful you think you got to make it. Like, I remember when you first start out, you think business cards are important. I don't own business. I actually don't want to be I'm not I don't have business cards for a reason, right? But what it comes down to, especially I'm just going to say, I think this is anywhere, but like when we're talking about how do you convert online, it comes down to this. It comes down, you got to have the right message to the right audience with the right offer. Oh, well, what does that mean, Kayvon? Well, that's the hardest part. That means, do you know your actual avatar ICPs? Okay. Like, do you know them better than they know themselves? If you don't, you're already backwards. So what does that mean? The price, well, who do I serve? Oh, I serve, you said your podcast, for instance, oh, I got men, women, ages 20 to 55. We weren't talking about business then, right? But that's how business owners think. I'm like, so you're talking to everybody.
True.
And
Yeah,
the
that's the demographics, not the psychographics.
Yeah, if you're talking to you're talking to nobody. Right? So, for instance, you go, Kayvon, who I work with very specifically, right? We work with coaches, consultants who have a 5, 10, 15, 20K offer. They're doing at least $100,000 a month, and they want to scale their sales team and their business from 100,000 to $1 million.
Yeah, very, very clear.
Like, very clear. So now, okay, so I have that audience. Okay, so now the message to them. Now I know I got to curate a message to them because I'm speaking to them, not everybody. I have to speak to them, but in order for me to speak to them, shit, I better know who they are. I got to know their 2 a.m. problems. I got to know their problems that they don't even know that are problems.
Yep.
And the ones that are keeping them up, what they think is keeping them up, but there's actually deeper problems underneath those problems. We need to know what those problems are and know how to speak with them. And when you line those two things up, you got the offer. It's not about how it looks. It doesn't at that point, that's like the 1%, the nicer website or the nicer logo. That actually isn't what actually makes things sell, believe it or not.
Yeah. I agree with that completely, because I will get unsolicited messages via LinkedIn or email about, hey, you should do this, and this for your website because it's not really showing off your services. I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to show off my services. My website is primarily about my podcast.
Yeah.
The people who dig deeper or who listen to the show and know me or read my LinkedIn, newsletter, whatever, they're the ones who are going to reach out to me, and they're the right people for me. I'm not trying to onboard tons of clients right now. So,
yeah. Well, then again, you're tightening it up too, right? So the more you tighten it up, the more exclusive you become, the more barriers we say you can put in before people get to you, right?
Yeah.
So I told but
I think
to say right message to the right audience, to the right offer. That's it. That's the key.
I do think it's hard for entrepreneurs and small businesses, though, when we're starting out to, number one, we might have an audience in mind, but it's actually the completely wrong audience for us. Or we try to offer more things, so we're trying to add more value for the customers that we do get, even though those might not be the things we're best at.
Let's bring context to that, if I may.
Yeah.
So remember when I said I was a failing entrepreneur, like $200,000 in debt? Well, one of my second greatest ideas was, all right, you sit there and you go, okay, what's my expertise and what do I do? Okay, so one of my expertise, this is actually embarrassing, but it's such a great learning experience. So because I did a lot of work with my ADD, ADHD, handling it, with many doctors, some of the best doctors in North America, PET scans, all these scans that I did, I started learning a lot about ADD. So, and I knew a lot of entrepreneurs had ADD. So I was like, I'm going to help struggling entrepreneurs with ADD. What's the problem?
Yeah.
No, what's the problem there?
Yeah. I mean, a few things.
With ADD, who am I attracting? Struggling entrepreneurs who have no money, who can't invest into shit. How am I ever making a business out of that? But there, I went out, I built a beautiful funnel, $10,000 ads. I got it all set up. And fundamentally, the whole thing was broken. It looked beautiful. I still look at the brand today and be like, that was the best brand I ever did. But fundamentally, the whole bit, I keep getting calls and they don't have money. Well, I'm literally calling out struggling ADD entrepreneurs. Well, so like that there's a nuance there, right? And like, take it from me. Even though I wanted to do that, even though I felt like that was my heart was there, it didn't work. So then I picked it. Not any better. I was like, in my mind, I was like, in high school, there's a Kayvon in every class. The kid that is sitting there, that is not being heard, that's not being seen, that has so much to give the world, that everybody's actually scared of it. And that's why they're trying to put him down. I want to find out one kid in every classroom and give them the opportunity to shine, to grow. So by the time they get to college, they're like winners. Or by the time they graduate, whatever they decide to do, they get the next level. So go out and build this beautiful whole campaign, Epic Life Academy, calling people, da-da-da-da. Well, who am I selling to? Now I have to sell to the parents and the kids. So now I have to either convince the kids that this is cool for them, But then they go to mommy and daddy, and mommy and daddy are like, you want me to give you money to hang out with who's the guy Kayvon? Or vice versa. Mommy and daddy love my idea, but now they're sitting there yelling at their 15-year-old kid at dinner time. You got to do it. I can't. I wanted to. You can't make millions of it. Doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, those are my passions, but it doesn't work. Doesn't mean I stop caring about that stuff. It doesn't mean I don't want to go back to do that. But that's the Phil Hendricks stuff. Like, that's the stuff I'm gonna do when I retire, right? And I'm not trying to make money. I'm just trying to make the impact, right? So like sometimes you kind of do the thing you don't like. People are like, find your passion and build a business. Bullshit. I just don't agree with that at all. It's find the right lane, which making you money so that you can live your passion. And if you can find a way to love what you're obviously doing and you want to, enjoy it, fantastic. But to sit there and be like, I'm passionate about traveling, so I'm just going to be a travel blogger. Like, I don't know how that goes. Like, there's got to be something else there.
Yeah. And it shifts. I mean, during the pandemic, I had a PR firm that was great and we got a lot of success for our clients. But I also had just moved back to LA from another city and was restarting and reproving myself in the market. So I had undercharged. I staffed up too quickly. I did all these different things that we talk about. And then I also realized, like, I'm not that passionate. I mean, people still ask me to do PR. I'm like, I'm not really that passionate about it, except when it comes to like helping lift people up through podcasting or helping them find certain platforms. But do I want to spend my days pitching? No. Do I want to teach? Do I want to have people on my podcast and expand that and my other podcasts that I have that are supposed to do with universities and such? Do I want to continue to like spend time creating AI tools, which is something I really love? Yes. And those are things I can monetize. And they are passions, but they're also skill sets.
Yeah.
Right. But I have to be smart about it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like it feels like there's a fine line. Right. Because like, I don't want the message to be like, okay, I said, go do the thing you hate. No, you'll be miserable. It'll be hard. It'll be dry. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm not also saying you're going to love every day. Like entrepreneurship, like there was a quote, read it in a book. I don't remember the book. And I talked to another athlete, a very professional athlete about it. And they're like, yeah. And they had it to perfection. But there was this thing where like a really good coach basically said to the athlete, like, you're going to show up. I'm going to botch the numbers, but it was something like, it was like 10% of the time in a year of training competitive sport, you're going to show up 10% where you feel good. You're going to show up like 20, whatever it is, like 40%, if we got cases like whatever, 45% where you feel like crap. And you're going to show up 45% where it feels good. And like you get that, like that's successful, right? What does that mean? So I'm only going to show up 10% of all the hard work. I'm only going to feel great about it. Yeah, that's life. And that's entrepreneurship. That's just what it is. Like, it's not always rainbows and sunshines and what people see out there, especially online with all the fake. I don't want to go down that road, but like all the, everyone thinks everyone's watching everyone's life through someone else's lens instead of actually just shutting off that and looking within and living a fulfillment life of like within. And when you do that, you get to a different power where you end up being the person people are looking at.
Oh, that's so beautiful. There's so much more we could unravel, but I'm going to lead people instead to follow you on socials, check out your podcast. And also, you do have a sales clarity, how to pitch, position, and close with confidence. Is this a webinar that you give? Is this something that they can find?
Yeah, I mean, if you just go to make it simple, go to kayvon.com. And from there, you'll be able to find everything with Pitch Me and the sales connection and whatever it might be. If you want to come follow me, it's very simple. Just at Kayvon Kay, Kayvon Kay, and you'll find me there.
Yeah, fantastic. Kayvon, is there one last piece of advice that you'd like to give to the audience?
I'll give this last piece of advice to anybody that needs to hear this. Love many, trust you, but always paddle your own canoe.
Nice. I have not heard that before. So thank you for bringing something new. And thank you so much for your time. I'm really appreciative of this. I know that we're going to stay in touch, have a lot of ideas for things that we can do in the future, and excited to see how your journey continues to elevate. And I know you teased out a book.
I did. So, yeah. Pitch Me book too. Yeah. You can get all that. Well, yeah. From kayvon.com. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. And then the 10% or what was it? 1/10 book about.
The one that's coming out. That book's coming out. That's not. Yeah. You're only 1/10 away.
Yep. Is that going to come out this year, next year?
It's probably going to come out. We're just working on it, so it's probably more of a next year book for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have you back on to talk a little bit more about that and where you are in your journey then. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrandamplified.com.